Well, the weather is getting colder, which means you got to start thinking about getting your vehicle ready for winter weather. We have America's favorite and best mechanic. We're actually on a field trip today, Mr. Al Wright with John's Automotive. First off, you've got a fancy fangled machine there. Let's start with just batteries and run us through everything we need to know. So
we just want to make sure that the battery is, when physically looking at it, there's a lot of times that you can see on some of the stickers, or like this one here, we can see that this battery is new and 10 of 24. If you look down there, and it tells the group size and stuff of the battery. But we've got a battery tester that we can go through, and you can check all different. You can go to a cranking test, you can go to a charging test. We want to make sure that, one, that the battery cables aren't corroded. A lot of times you'll see on the battery terminals where there'll be like a bluish green. We want to make sure those are cleaned up, make sure that when we test the battery that the percentage and the health of the battery is good for winter, because a lot of times, as I've said before on the show, that we see a lot of times where batteries, everybody thinks, oh, the winter's coming, I got to get a new battery, and it's the heat that actually kills it. But once the winter comes, because of the heat, that battery will fail in the wintertime.
And speaking of batteries, we've talked about it before, but a battery jump pack, instead of just having the old-fashioned jumper cables, which are good, you've talked about a jump pack, which is about the same size of that.
A lot of the new ones are about that same size. We've got several different ones that we use. We get a car that's towed in, and it makes it a lot easier for us to just have one guy go out and use a jump pack and jump start it to get it inside, instead of pushing it in or having a tow truck drop it inside if we can.
Let's move to the side of the vehicle here. Let's talk about tires. We'll just kind of go from the front to the back. So tell me a little bit. You're going to go over and grab some tools, and as he does that, that looks very technical.
There's a couple different ways as far as checking tires. One thing we want to make sure when you look at the side of the tire that there's not a bunch of weather cracking or that there's cracks in the tire, and then we want to make sure and check the tread depth. There's several different tools. This one here is a digital that'll actually, when you stick it in the depth of the tire, when you go down and read it, it'll actually show you how many millimeters of tread are left. There's very simple tools that we use that are just a basic tread depth gauge that'll actually show you in the millimeters or in 30 seconds of tread how many 30 seconds of tread are left. Most tires start new 11 to 13. Once we get down to 2s and 3s, we definitely want to make sure that we're replacing those tires. There's an old trick with the penny.
I was going to say, if you don't have that, a penny would still do.
You can still use a penny, and if you put the penny in the tire, in the top of the tire, and if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, it's time to replace those tires.
Okay, well, let's talk about now the windshield. When's a good time to get those windshield wipers replaced?
We want to make sure not only the windshield wipers, but we want to make sure that windshield washer fluid is protected to sub-zero temperatures. The big thing too is make sure that the wipers aren't torn or cracked or starting to tear, but we want to make sure once it snows that we get the windshield cleaned off before we turn the wipers on. We see that probably, on our first snows, we see it probably a couple cars a week sometimes, that one wiper's working and the other one's not. And typically what happens is they didn't clean the snow off, so the wipers froze down, and that'll loosen the nut on the actual wiper arm. We tighten the nut up and they'll work again. Sometimes not. Sometimes they'll do more damage and it'll actually strip that nut out and you can't tighten it up, or it'll strip the splines on that gear out, so the wipers won't work.
We got just a couple minutes left. Cabin filter, I know we talk about that in the summertime. Just as important in the wintertime to make sure that's kind of being cleared and moving the air through?
Definitely. We want to make sure that cabin air filter's clean, because a lot of times they'll get stuffed up, and you'll have plenty of, we always get that complaint that I don't have any heat. And it's not a matter of not having any heat, it's a matter of that cabin air filter is restricted, so you don't have the airflow volume coming into the car, so it takes forever for the car to warm up. Typically if you've got an actual heating problem, you're going to watch temperature gauge, things like that, where the temperature gauge reads cold all the time. Temperature gauge reads cold all the time. Typically it's either thermostat or it's an actual problem with that system.
And the final piece about the car is the gas level.
Gas level, I've always said, make sure it's, especially in the wintertime, make sure it's at least a quarter of a tank. As I've said, my kids know a quarter tank is a new empty.
And I believe Catherine just walked in, so you can show her what to put in an emergency kit. How about that?
Yeah, let me grab that real quick.
So a safety kit. Should I have one of those?
Yes, you should. And we have these available. We have them for sale, or you can pick one up at some of the stores. But this one has, it's got a headlight. It's like a
Yeah.
Like an actual headlight that you can use. I don't have the batteries in it, but jumper cables. There is a tire pressure gauge. there's some gloves, there's a rain poncho, there's a high visibility vest. You know, especially in the wintertime when it's dark out earlier and stuff like that.
Yes, when I was driving here on the shoulder, there were people pulled over and getting out of their car, and it's kind of a gloomy day. It's hard to see.
Yeah, we want to make sure you're seen. Turn the hazards on. This safety kit actually has if the batteries are in it.
Oh.
This one actually has that. You could set that in the back window. It's got different strobes, but you want to make sure you're being seen and that people know that, hey, you know, the big thing too is out of respect to our tow drivers and our police officers and stuff like that, when you see the flashing lights, move over. It is against the law to not move over if you can. So we want to make sure that you're seen and we don't have a fatality or something like that because of somebody not paying attention or not being seen. So
Every time my gas tank is like at 20 miles or less, I think of you.
You shouldn't let it get to 20. Yeah, as I said, you know, a quarter tank, especially in the wintertime, that's the last thing we want to see is somebody that's out of gas or something because they're sitting out there on the side of the road stranded in the cold because they ran out of gas.
Yeah.
And I know, and people, I'm guilty at times too, where I think, oh, I got plenty of time because it's cold out and I don't want to stop and get gas. But we want to make sure that it's at least a quarter of a tank.
Okay. I will do that for Christmas for you.
Okay.
All right, if anybody wants to come here and visit you, set up an appointment, give you a call, how can they do that?
They can visit us online at johnsautomotiveservice.com. They can call us at 396-4206, or they can schedule online, or they can stop here at 4910 Johnson Avenue, corner of Short Street and Johnson Avenue.
Thanks for having us here, Al.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming.
Coming up, it's the most wonderful time of the year in the Amana colonies. We're talking prelude to Christmas and the Tannenbaum Forest and how you can meet Santa.
Santa?
The real one, next on Everyday Iowa.
No, ma'am.